Join the conversation with the Morning Majlis, Pulse 95.
Hello and very good morning. Sabahkum Allah bil khair, as we say in this part of the world. It is a very good morning, a brand new day, and we're looking at Sharjah real estate. Now we're looking at the real estate sector, which has traditionally been known as a safe place for your investments. Your first place for, your parents teach you, your grandparents teach you, everyone teaches you, buy your house, have a roof above your head. That is a very, very important. Now we've got Saeed the Suwaidi in the studios with us, who is the chairman of the real estate committee at the Sharjah Chamber. A very good morning to you and welcome onto the program.
Good morning, Kareem.
Well, it's great to have you today. And let's start talking about investment opportunities that this city has to offer. As per the statistics that I can see from here, from the Sharjah Real Estate Registration Directorate, Sharjah saw over 54,125 transactions, valued at 22.5 billion dirhams in 2018. Now, that's not a small figure. This is something huge. Now, talk to us about what Sharjah has to offer in the real estate sector.
Well, Kareem, Sharjah's, maybe you have already read or have gone through that always a stable market, always is demandable, which is affordable, to residential mostly. And Sharjah's always been very stable compared to... I don't like to say that crisis when it is happening, but always stable due to controlled rules we have in Sharjah in relate to investment. The number you have seen that it is related to the demand, and the new project has been launched in Sharjah within the past 5 years, and I believe those numbers going to increase in terms of handing overs the project within the coming 2 years. And I believe also that the demands will be increased related to open market, which Sharjah maybe for the past 2 years has been opened for expertise, ownership. That's also getting the price even whenever we see that there is a demand, which means there is the price going to be increased. So I'm always believe the stability in Sharjah, it's always good for investment. That's what always I recommend to do investment in Sharjah.
Well, for sure. Now, the reason why we say the crisis when people say this now, it's because there's an oversupply when there's more handovers been taking place, and we've seen that in other neighboring emirates. But what are we seeing in Sharjah in particular? And it's not been traditionally known as a place for people to be buying properties. People prefer to stay here, and you and I will both agree that people have been preferring to rent it. Yeah. But now to buy a property, it's become. What does Sharjah has to offer for all investors and even residents over here?
Kareem, in regards to the property investment, most of people, as you said, in Sharjah, that's always looking for renting. In my opinion, that if you calculate that if you stay 5 years up to 10 years and you are paying a rent, it's good for you to buy. And then after 10 years, if you calculate, or 5 years, if you calculate how much you spend, then it's win-win, free. You got a free stay and you can resell it within the same price you bought it, maybe even more. So always I recommend that's to go for buying rather than renting. But Sharjah has been known mostly with the renting. Maybe we can say 1 year, 2 years, or even more. That's Sharjah, maybe 70-80% is renting a place.
And who are renting those properties? Because you've got quite a diverse makeup. Somebody like myself, I'm a family, we've got children. Somebody like Abdul Kareem is a bachelor. You've got University City, where you have a lot of students who might want, small economic places to be able to stay and study. And then you've got, the families that want to enjoy everything that Sharjah has to offer.
It is. There is a lot of variety which is developed around Sharjah. And as always, we say that we have to do proper planning, proper study before we develop any properties. That's normally we should to do, related to the locations, related to the community, related to family size. So it goes from studios to up to 3-4 bedrooms. That's in terms of buildings, and then it goes to villas. So those things has been changed nowadays. Even though on for us, for example, when we design something. Always I prefer to make it more bigger. So on time of the market, whereas there is very less demand, still it is always recommend my property because of the size.
Sure.
But the price always, you can say it's equal. When you say 2-bedroom in Sharjah, 2-bedroom is, the price is 2-bedroom, but there is no much recommended by the price per square feet or price compare of the location, facilities. Nowadays, yes. Most of people is talking about the facilities, talking about the sizes. Whenever there is a lot of choice.
For sure. Well, we'll be continuing this conversation. We'll take a bit of a short break, and we will talk about how certain rules and regulations are supporting the real estate sector when it comes to long-term residency visas as well, and who is exactly buying into this market. All these questions will be put forward to Saeed Suwaidi, who has joined us right here in the studios on the Morning Majlis.
Join the conversation with the Morning Majlis. Pulse 95.
Yes, you can join the conversation with the Morning Majlis. We are dissecting Sharjah's real estate, the opportunities here as well, because we have Saeed Suwaidi, who is the chairman of the real estate committee at the Sharjah Chamber. We're here talking to him about the importance of investment in real estate and how safe it is to do so. Now, Mr. Saeed Suwaidi, I'd like to start off with the question of safety and security of your investment, and because this is the time, as a lot of people say, the markets are, prices are falling down. Is it not a safe and lucrative market? But for young people and for general residents of the UAE to invest in Sharjah, when is the best time to start and join this property ladder? Because how long can you be renting a space for?
It's a very good question, Kareem. Always people, they are comparing and always asking me, when shall we invest? So we saw always the people is investing on the booming times, but on the, I can say, the correction time, people are afraid to invest. So I said, no, it is all same calculation formula. So if you go with the booming time, everything is expensive. So very expensive construction, very expensive sales or rent, very expensive everything. So the formula at the end, you will generate between 8 to 12% of profits in case of renting, in case of resale. So on this time, let's say correction time, you do the same formula, 8 to 12. So everything is cheap, buying is cheap, the renting is cheap, everything is cheap. So it is good time to invest at this time.
And speaking of it being a good time, there's also a lot of regulation that's in place in order to protect people who are going to invest. Yes. Can you just take us through that? For people that aren't aware, there is quite a lot of regulation in place in order to protect the consumer.
Sure. The good things that in Sharjah we have, especially with Sharjah Real Estate Registration Department, there is a law which is it's more than 15 years maybe they launched it, which is you have to pay a 20% bank guarantee bonds. You have to leave it with the real estate department, and then you are allowed to do and develop a project in Sharjah. All the projects under development which is off plan in Sharjah, it has to have a bank guarantee. So whoever willing to buy, your money is safe. So even though you have the right to go and ask about any project, is it registered? So then it is safe to do an investment in Sharjah. That's which is, as I said, today is affordable to buy a property in Sharjah. But compared on the booming time, it will be 3-4 times expensive than today. So
yes,
that's why it is the right time. Even though I want to say that everybody is asking me, I need to invest, but how do I invest? I cannot buy a property. I said, okay, you can buy a car. I said, yes, easy, I can buy the car. Then compare the cars which you have used it, and then after 2-3 years, the car does not have any value for you. So if you resell it, some maybe 30-40%, but does not generate any income for you within those period. But if you go to buy a property within the same value of your car, and then you pay monthly payment to any banks, you have it. The same value of the car, you have a property. So it is easy.
Yes, that's true. But then the idea is, who's actually buying into this? Now, we've always seen that, it's traditionally been known as a place where GCC investors can buy property, and now we're opening up the real estate sector, which is really good. But in Sharjah particular, who are you seeing as more investors coming in?
As I said, almost 2 years ago, that they have opened now. All the nationalities can own in Sharjah, which is 100 years ownership.
Yep.
So there is no more related to UAE locals or GCC. So it's open.
Okay, so you're seeing more, let's say, subcontinent expats buying it?
Yes. It's already all the new projects. We can see that they are all offering the fully ownership.
That's very good to see. Now, this is something to look forward to. Now, if you were to say regulations, to what extent has these visas, of the 10-year visas, benefited in terms of investors being confident and having that sentiment to come to Sharjah Chamber and say, let's buy?
It is, that whenever you secure your stay, you secure your, living. So, which means you are more safe, that you feel that, okay, fine, I can buy now easily, that I have no problem with my visa, I have no problem with my staying. So it is guaranteed now 10 years. Okay, let's go and buy something or invest something. So it is, of course, it helps to do lots of stability or security, in terms of living.
Exactly.
Fantastic. Well, we're taking your questions on 4215. If you do want to ask Saeed about any questions regarding regulation, investing in property here in Sharjah, or looking at where potentially to be able to enter the housing market as well here in Sharjah. Taking your questions on 4215. We've got your half-past headlines on the way next, and then after that we'll be delving into more.
Pulse 95.
The Morning Majlis, talking the stories that are shaping headlines. This is Pulse 95.
Welcome back to the program with myself, Anna Roberts, and Abdul Karim Hanif, and we are very pleased to still have with us Saeed Al-Suwaidi, chairman of the real estate in Sharjah. It's great to have you with us. Thanks so much for sticking around. I wanted to just focus in on a question, because we've been looking at residential properties coming up on the market, investing opportunities here in Sharjah. But what we haven't really touched on at the moment is commercial spaces, because bringing all of these people into Sharjah or into these communities means you need to have commercial services to support them. Take us through that process a little bit, and who's been interested from the GCC in order to really develop that in Sharjah?
That's a very good question, and related to have a committee whenever there is you are looking to increase your populations. It has to be a parallel services related to be developed around, and relate to educations, healthcare, retails. Those things, it needs to be a proper visibility studies in terms of investing. To the retails, if we can say that there is a lot of expansion going on, which is, I believe, this year and next year, there is to be handovers, like there is an investment with Shuruq from Kuwait. There is a Venus on Sheikh Mohammed bin Zayed Road. There is also Al-Fatim, Majid Al-Fatim. There is in Al-Zahir, the new city centers. There is Sahara, the third expansion is going on. Beside that, there is so many hypermarkets is going on around the city. In terms of healthcare, there is, I believe, Sharjah Healthcare City. It has to be developed. I think it's going on soon to be launched. Plus, I know a few of the hospital owner from Saudi Arabia, like Saudi German Hospital. Dr. Suleiman Al-Habibi is also developing a new hospital in Sharjah. In terms of education, Dr. Sheikh Sultan, the private sectors has been focused to be from last year to this year's, that to boom and to controls in terms of developing new schools in Sharjah. So those three sectors, which is very important to be developed and relate to have residentials committees staying in Sharjah.
Yeah.
Well, we do know that the Acres exhibition is taking place.
Yes.
Now, you've convinced me that now I'm going to be penciling my dates and my calendar in and saying, all right, I'm going to be coming over to this exhibition. I'm going to go and buy the property. But we do understand that there's been a huge demand for waterfront properties, mainly, whether it's residential or even in commercial. So what does the other parts need now for the interest levels to expand a little bit, as opposed to being just in Al Majaz as we saw?
Always people would like, prefers to stay in something which is like beachside, beach fronts. So we have very unique projects coming on or develops already under construction, which is under the Eagle Hills with Shuruq, Mariam Island. So this is totally waterfront project. Plus, there is few towers which is around the waterfront, Al Majaz. So, it is always preferred by the people where to stay. Nowadays, there is a new project which is like by Arada, around close to the university city. So this is like on the middle of the city. So it depends on the offers, depends on the projects. So people, it is having a choice now where to invest, where to buy.
Yeah, well, this is a question that we were talking off air with Anna about. It's like, do you think there's going to be an oversupply of just waterfront properties, or are you seeing things expanding a little bit more nowadays?
Well, that's what I said. That oversupply, it is not. At the moment we cannot say that it's oversupply in Sharjah, but things, if it is not being in proper study, in proper laws for that, it's of course I can develop tomorrow without doing any proper studies. That after a few years you will see that there is oversupply. But at the moment, maybe 5 years ahead, it could be if there is not a proper plan from the government and from the developer side.
I think that's the biggest sort of takeaway from our conversation with you today, is that there has been an overarching 360-degree view of what exactly it is that Sharjah and the residents need, and exactly where are we going in the future. And so I think that conservative and that sustainable growth has really been my biggest takeaway from our talk this morning. It's been fascinating to have you in the studio. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
You're booked in for Acres coming up.
Yes, I am.
At the end of March?
Yes, it is. As say the Suwaidi just said, it is a period of correction. You don't see it as a period of a downfall or maybe a crisis situation, as many people have been describing it as. But this is a time for young people like myself and most of our listeners, and yourself, Anna, as well, for us to sort of say, and Mr. Saeed the Suwaidi as well, for us to say, what we can let's say buy a property now and join the property ladder, because a car can depreciate in value, but your apartment, your villa, or your housing, and the roof over your head, as a lot of people like to tell us, does not depreciate but appreciates in value. Thank you, Saeed Suwaidi. A pleasure having you on the show. Do stay tuned to the Morning Majlis. Got plenty more to talk about, and plenty more to talk about what to expect on Pulse 95 this morning, as we all enjoy a car-free day. We'll have a house-full day as well at some point. So let's stay tuned to the Morning Majlis.
Pulse 95.
The Morning Majlis, talking the stories that are shaping headlines. This is Pulse 95.